Straight to desktop. Hello, 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 and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion. I don't know what's going on, but as I mentioned in chat, just a little bit overwhelmed. I have no reason to be. Everything is going great. Things are pretty laid back. I guess yesterday I did have another call. Yeah, nature. So I really need to not answer my phone ever, but I got a call or an email. I got an email last week about my solar panels, and I had been interested in increasing the number of solar panels that we have since it's not quite covering our expected use because we didn't have an electricity bill at the time that we had the solar panels installed. So I was interested in getting them getting additional ones added, and I wanted a battery. So I did end up getting an email or a call, I can't remember, but it was from the solar panel company. So that's why I went ahead and, if it was a phone call, I answered the phone. If it was an email, I just read it and saw that they were like, hey, we were just wanting to figure out how your solar panels are going. Have you run into any issues? And I'm like, yeah, I've had one issue where it's not actually reporting. I know that it's working, but it's not reporting in the app, and tried to get it fixed, but just haven't had time to call back and be like, it's still not fixed. Can you help with it? Or haven't made time. So anyway, point is, I had a call with them on Monday. And that call took about an hour and a half. And I was like, I'll still be able to do work while I'm on the call. So I'm talking with them. They're asking for information. We're going over the details of what it would be to add some panels, add a battery. Yeah. So they went over the whole entire plan for it. And then there was the financing step. Hi, people. It's like I'm sitting down in the grass talking to you guys. They had some financing stuff that we needed to do on top of it, sign tons and tons of papers, and then contacting the HOA, all of that stuff. So then they were going to send someone out to do a survey. Shrunk the lion. They were going to send someone out to do the survey of the house to make sure that the plan will work, that there is actually space on the roof where we say there is space. Hey, that looks like a picture that I took. And so they're going to send someone out. But that also means that they are going to, where did nature go? They're going to need access to the attic, which means that they're going to come into the house. So I was like, it's kind of expected. They needed to do it the first time, but the first time we were not even moved in yet. So we had people in and out, and it wasn't quite as additional to the stress and anxiety we were having. But then now it's like we're settled in. We rarely ever have anyone inside of the house. We rarely ever need to meet with people physically, and we've just gotten so comfortable with it. It's so nice to not have that anxiety. And then now knowing that they're going to need to come inside, go up to the attic and poke around, do stuff there. And that'll just be for the survey itself. And then when they come back to actually do the install, they'll have to be back inside again. But anyway, I thought I handled that well. It wasn't until the end of the call where they're like, okay, well, let's schedule that survey. And the time that we have available is, well, tomorrow, which would have been yesterday. And so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's just get it done then. So we were expecting them to come by 8 a.m. And at 7:30 they called and were like, well, our surveyor called in sick and we don't have a backup, so can we reschedule? And I'm like, yes, sure. With my customer service voice, I am not blaming you for someone else doing something or for a situation that arises. I'm going to be completely understandable, regardless of how much extra anxiety it gives me. But they rescheduled for next week, Monday. So who knows if I will do the music stream then as well. Depends on how much involvement I will have in this process, how long they take. But of course, if it eats into my playtime, then I will just call the stream off and continue my workday, as I did last Monday. But yes, hello Marcus, hello DC Aggie, hello Dukasoft, welcome in. Hope you're having a great day. Today we are going to be doing something similar but different than what we have been doing. I'm telling you, everything just happens all at once. It's like, why can't it just be one thing at a time? But the customer, as you know, last week was back to getting the data import stuff going. And I'm kind of interested in seeing where this lands, but the most recent thing that they did was updated the spreadsheet that they were using, updated the mappings. We got all of the database stuff done that we were working on last week. And so they tried. Don't ever stand at a bus stop. What happened at a bus stop? Is that where we were? No, we're not at a bus stop. Are we? I can't see. But what happened at the bus stop? And why don't you want us to stand at the bus stop? Oh, so the bus stop is across the street and you saw 3 buses pull in at the same time? This is in Guadalajara, Mexico, in December of 2024. Oh, it's a United Kingdom saying. Interesting. I have no idea what it means. Okay. Allegedly, they updated their spreadsheet. They updated the workflow. They re-uploaded the data, and now, all of the record checks pass for the records that they were trying to upload, except for in this one, they even got that one to work. Interesting. So they got the records checks to pass for their 2 lab lots, aka sample analyses that they are, or transfer files that they are trying to upload. Now they're waiting on the sampling team to create chain of custody records because, again, normally the chain of custody records, you guys can't see this. Too much stuff happens all at once. Oh, okay. So yes, that statement is very, very relevant for right now. So I was showing that the 2 records that they are uploading, there are no more errors, no more analysis errors on them. And they're just waiting on the sampling team to create the chain of custody records. And normally the chain of custody records are created before this process because it's us that are taking the samples. But apparently for these, it is a third-party agency that is coming to the refuge, to the wildlife refuge, and taking samples themselves with their own chain of custody records. And so what they're wanting to do is create an RTRAC. So if you remember, we have a process, if you remember, because I'm sure you were here and paying attention the whole time, but we have a process where the sampling team will first create a chain of custody document. Then that chain of custody document will be used to, or not used, printed, labels will be created. So for example, why does it take that long to create labels? Errors? Errors. I'm sorry, what? I hope it's just that it was because it was the test server. No. Oh, the 404 is just toast is missing. So it has nothing to do with the labels getting created themselves. They're all done. Wildlife refuse. That's disgusting. From wildlife refuse to wildlife refuge. The RMA story. Tonight on Biography Channel. Join us as we explore the Rocky Mountain National Wildlife Refuge. Once home to a chemical weapons manufacturing facility, the Rocky Mountain Wildlife National Refuge, at the time known as the Rocky Mountain Arsenal, had a web application that would not load the flippin' labels because I told it to. Let's try it on production. I wonder what's up with the nav menu not showing the, or having this additional, having this additional gap at the top. What is that? There's so many things to do, so many things to look at, but I'm not looking at it. I am ignoring it. It's not a thing. It's not really there. You only think it's there, but it's not. Position fixed. Position fixed? Where are you position fixed? My Stream Deck arrives today. Who doesn't love buttons? All that matters is that you love them. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Where is the padding coming from? It's either padding, well, I mean, it looks like it's padding. Here. What are you doing there? Why are you there? Why? Why padding? Yeah, this is gonna need some work. Okay, anyway, something's gotta work. Okay, so they print off these labels. This was what to do. Don't look. This was one of the first features that I made that was just like a lot of fun to make. Some of you were here while I was doing this, and I hope you had as much fun as I did. But we made this label editor where you can choose what labels are available. You can say this label is not available, this label is not available. On page 3, you want to move stuff over. On page 1, we only have these labels slots available. And it was really, really cool. And it looks the way that it would print out too. So that was a ton of fun to do. You can edit the labels in place. So if this specific label doesn't have the correct information, you could edit it. You could add remarks to it. You can delete labels because maybe you already printed that label and that shows up in this exclude list. And then if you wanted to re-include it, then you just click on it and it's back in there. And oh man, such a good feature. It was so much fun. Super fun. So anyway, and then the actual print, you just Control P and then it generates the printable version of it. Of course, you would have headers and footers turned off and margins set to none. And that way it prints correctly. So anyway, good times. We had a blast making that, the UI for it. It was all great. Oh yeah. And we also put in here different label styles too. So you could pick the different label styles. That was fun. Anyway, I forgot about that. So anyway, they create the chain of custody record. They print off the labels. They slap those labels on bottles or bags or whatever the containers are that they're going to go take these samples in. This shows how many total samples of each, how many bottles they will be collecting per sample record. So here we are sampling a site called 26188. and we will take 20 bottles, and 4 of them need to have the OCP test done using method e.68. Then 2 of them will have this, 2, so on. So all of those get sent, or all of them get placed in a baggie. That baggie gets the chain of custody document inside of it, and then gets zipped up, and yeah. And then they get that tape thingy on it that says the tamper-proof tape stuff. Whew. So the issue is that the chain of custody records for the data that's getting uploaded using the lab data upload utility are being provided by a different agency. They're doing their own sampling. They're creating their own chain of custody record. But our system requires a matching chain of custody record to be in our system in order for us to be able to update the records. And this is telling us that we don't have a matching sample record. So the current effort is for the sampling team to generate a record. It's going to get its own chain of custody number. It would be nice to be able to set this to the chain of custody number that they're giving us so we have an easy mapping. Otherwise, we're going to have to come up with a way to be able to track our chain of custody number to their chain of custody number. And once that's done, then they'll be able to continue the rest of the process for submitting the TRN. Oops. And what is up with this? Does anyone notice something weird? Hello, Candy Dev. How are you doing? Shout out to Candy Dev. I hope you're having a fantastic day today. Waves and hugs and all of it. Danny says, crawls in as a burnt little grilled chicken. Small smoke clouds are raising from the charred body of Canny. You smell good. Is anyone else hungry? Why are you burnt, Kenny? Were you out in the sun enjoying yourself? It's a deadly laser. I wouldn't know. I haven't seen it for a while. I'm kidding. I actually went to the mailbox yesterday on foot. And the mailbox is about 2 blocks away, by the way. Blocks? No, 1 block away. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. Makes it easier for the mail delivery people to mess up your mail. But yeah, otherwise I'm pretty okay-ish. Okay-ish. Well, that's good to hear. That is fantastico. You go there. You go there. All right, so I talked through the RTRAC process where we're at. So the thing that happened yesterday, though, is that they called me and they were like, well, there's still a whole bunch of stuff we have to manually do in this mapping thing. What? It's not, if it emitted light, if it reflected light, it would not be doing its job, would it? It's supposed to use as much of that light as it can to knock electrons loose, or whichever ones, protons or electrons, to knock it loose so that it can do energy transfer, so that it can turn the light it receives into electricity. That's the whole point of it. That's the reason it's called a trap. Oh yeah, I guess. It's a laser trap. Got it. Okay, so what they're talking about, though, is DC Aggie said, you missed the updates about Lane commissioning a deadly laser trap on his roof. Traps it and stores it in a box of confinement. True, for later consumption. It's going to get eaten. Kind of makes me feel like James a little. Who's James? Well, you're just going to have to figure that out, aren't you? Okay. Yeah, where are we at? So what we're looking for is a Dropbox work stuff folder, RMA, projects, lab data import utility, sample import files. Okay, so we got an update file. That updated file looks like this. And so it's still a lot of work, manual work. And of course, you know me, I want to automate everything. But it's a lot of manual work for them to go in and have their original file. And then all of these, oh no, he's not any kind of part of my ego. At least not that I'm aware of. He's just a natural force. I don't know that I'm into Bore. So anyway, these fields, they need to add themselves. And yeah. And then what? And then a thing happens, and then there's words that I say, but I can't think right now. But it's okay. So their process, which I'm gonna at least help them while I'm working on this part. I'm gonna take this spreadsheet, do the mantissa equation, which is if you want the mantissa of a number, then you take the number divided by the floor of the exponent. Wait, no, the exponent 10 raised to the floor of log base 10 of that number. What? Oh, I'm missing a parent. It's not called exp. What is it called? It's called POW. Too few are. Oh, significant. Not divisible by 0. Anyway, it's some formula that's something like this. What am I missing? Are you supposed to be 1 or something? Oh, it's supposed to be a 1. Okay. Too few arguments. An exception rarely encountered in my home. Oh, that's sad. So here is, for example, the mantissa calculation, and of course the exponent, which is times 10 to the x, would just simply be that floor of the log base 10 of that number. And so what this means is that in order to get to this number here, it would be this number times 10 to the this number. And so we can do that in both directions. Let's say we're looking at P3. Then you can see that it moves the 4 to the left one, which means that we're going to be 10 to the -1. So I found the formula, thanks to Gemini, for calculating the mantissa and then the leftover exponent to go from the mantissa to the actual value, which is what they store in the database. Oh. Which meant that we could have created the formula in here, and I was super excited. I was like, oh, we don't have to do this crazy if the value is greater than 10,000, then divide by 10,000 and blah, 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 blah. What did you use to read Excel file? It is called Excel Data Reader is the name of the library. I think the CSV helper, I think is what the other one is called, could also be used. Yeah, but I used Excel data reader, and then to get the Excel data back as a data set so that you have data set and data tables with the columns and stuff, you could use Excel data reader.dataset. You're most welcome. I have heard that people have had good luck, good experiences with CSV helper is what I want to say it's called. Yeah, CSV helper. I just don't remember why I'm not using it. I realized the other day a radio box control is a datum base. I don't think I understand. Why is a radio box control a datum base? Is it in the way that it's pronounced? Datum base? Because it's like a database for a single datum. Uh-huh. But I guess I don't know what a radio box is. Or radio. I'm in a web app and you say radio and I'm thinking not web app radios. And I'm like, what? Oh yeah, that's totally okay. I just was, I don't know, I was somewhere else. Oops, I pushed the wrong button. Also, another fun thing that happened recently to add on top of the other things that are currently happening all at the same time was this. Was this. Oh, let's go big screen. Let's go big head mode. Big head mode. Can you see that? Can you see that? It's like a piece of hail just threw itself through my phone. No idea how it happened either. That's not gonna buff out. I have no idea what happened. The only thing I can consider, or that I can think of that happens, is when I have the phone on this gooseneck arm. Is that what they're called? An opportunity to get an iPhone. I don't think so. I'm good. Although I really, really dislike the latest Samsung One UI update. They made some pretty terrible decisions. But I still would rather have a Google phone. Anyway, so when it's sitting on this gooseneck thing, I have to spread open the clamp that holds onto it. So it's like this, and then I have to pull the side open so that it comes out. And sometimes I have a hand that's full because I'm already starting to pick up my bottle to go upstairs. And so I open it and the phone just drops down. And it's like, is that short fall onto a mouse pad, onto a gaming mouse pad, really that dangerous? But I guess it could have hit on the corner of something somehow, or I just don't know how it happened. But if I do get a new phone, it'll be an upgrade, but it's going to be hard to do now that I decided that I wanted to get the solar panel and the battery, the extra solar panels. But yeah, iPhone is big no thanks for me too. Yeah, I got an iPad. That's enough Mac product. I mean, iOS products for me. I will probably get a MacBook Mini or something that says that I have a Mac device so that I can do development and builds and deploy and publish to the Mac store, to the Apple store. but that's not going to be for a while. Okay. Whew. Goodness, I'm forgetting how to breathe. I called this branch add features. So here's what I did. I was working on the lab data upload portion of this, the one that's using our data import utility library, because I was thinking, they told me about all of these things that they're doing manually in the spreadsheet that I wanted to automate. Oh, speaking of, yeah. I was hoping that we could take this formula that I found for Excel, put that into the calculate for the corrected mantissa and the uncorrected mantissa. And to do that, we would take the result and we would do a calculation. And I looked up the formula on JACE. JACE is the JACE for .NET is a .NET application or .NET library that can do mathematical calculations based on a string input. So it's called Just Another Calculation Engine. And you can take a string, it'll parse it, and it'll turn it into a formula. So that formula would be using my placeholders, $ curly brace 0 divided by, and this would be the notation that looks like this. And finally, this, right? There. Cool. Okay, so what this does for us is it gives us the ability to get the mantissa version of each of the numbers. And so again, the mantissa version is just we want tens place. Everything needs to be in the tens place. So if we have 13, it'll go to 1.3. If we have 90, it'll go to 9. But you'll see that now we have this string here that says non-detect. And if we get non-detect as a value in that result column, the rule is to instead use the, hello, why can't I scroll in this table? Arigato. The rule would be to use the high result or high limit. So if we have non-detect here, we should be using 2.1. If we have non-detect here, we should be using 2. And there is no current way for us to write a rule that will allow us to say, if it's non-detect, then use this number. Otherwise, if it is not non-detect, and this is actually a number, then do the mantissa for it. So that's really annoying. And that was one of the functions that we had been working on a while ago for the conditional rule that says, if the value is X, then do this transformation, otherwise do this other transformation on this other field. So that's going to be fun to figure out. So hi Snubble. The thing that I was trying to work on though was automating some of the other things, the things that I know how to automate. One of them is specifically the file name. It's going to be a combination of whatever is entered for the installation code for a given row, combined with an underscore, and then whatever we get back for the lot number, combined with an underscore, whatever is input, and then a number 1 for the first upload, and then combined with an underscore and then whatever is input for the lab. So since this is essentially a calculated field, I don't really have a way to combine the resulting fields. So, or do I? You know what? This really could be this could be a thing. Oh no, I have no way to get back the lab code. Right? That's what my issue is. So one of the calculated fields is the lab and lot. Or I guess it's not really calculated, it's manually entered. So specifically only the lot. So the lot number would need to be determined first, put into a field, and then I would need to be able to use the value that we get back up here. But there is no way to do that at present. Thank you for telling me. I really appreciate that. What else? Oh, so now that Snubble is typing that, the thing that I had been doing was working on this portion of the application, and at the same time having Visual Studio Code in agent mode working on refactoring the library, because the library as it stands is not extensible, and that was one of my core goals, was to make it so that if you use the library, the only project that you would need to add, or the only NuGet package, is the abstractions project. And you can implement everything yourself, but you'll have all of the models, all of the functionality you need in order to create your own implementations of these things. Then the next library is the core library, where I have some already implemented implementations. So stuff like comparison operations for when you're doing a conditional operation. We'll have things like the between operation with all of the logic for how to execute a between operation, all of those things. And then the rules themselves for what to do in order to get the value back for this specific field. And right now I have, you can combine fields together, you can provide a constant value for that field, or you can copy values from one field into this one while doing some transformations, of course. The problem was that all of these had a source generator on them. Sorry, not those. That's interesting. Okay. I haven't taken a close look at these yet, which I'm doing today. But all of these that implement mapping rule base, they used to have a source generator that was listening to generate an enum for each of the fields, so that when we have our custom serializer or custom converter, we would know how to go from a base class back to the instance, back to the implementation, back to the concrete class. Goodness, what are the words? Unfortunately, that didn't quite hold up for extensibility, because if you create an extension or an implementation off of the mapping rule base in your own library, there is no way to inject an enum value into the list of already existing enum values that would have lived here in this project. So what I tasked GitHub Copilot to do in that VS Code agent mode was to come up with a plan for refactoring the library so that we get rid of the usage of the extensions, of the enums. And it did. It did a pretty good job. And it was a good plan. It had been following it for the most part, but then it started getting weird. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start reviewing it from the place that it's currently at, and we're going to make some updates. Where are my tabs? Is it because this is the only file that's open? No. Where are my tabs? Here is an advisory to those of you listening. Before updating your Visual Studio, because there is a new update out, make sure to back up your settings. Save your current window layout, and go into Tools, Import and Export, export your selected environment settings, because it will reset everything, which is really annoying, including keyboard shortcuts. I can't believe it reset my keyboard shortcuts. And hello, John Stanley Dew. How you doing? I will greet you here in a second. I am just breathing. I'm learning how to breathe. Okay, so I need to get a bunch of files open here shortly so that we can continue this review. And then we can just talk more about how it performed. But first, back to chat. So all the way back up here, where DC Aggie was talking about radio buttons, radio boxes, being datum bases because they store one datum, because he just wanted to use the singular form of datum versus data, which is what's database is. Okay, that's not going to buff out for the crack on my camera lens. Speaking of, I think that I'll be able to just use my phone's device protection to get it fixed. I mean, I've looked at videos and I was going to do it myself, but I'm like, you know, I'm paying for device protection. I'll see if I can get a professional to fix it for me. Okay. Then there was talk about getting an iPhone to replace it. No, thank you. Now you can take a picture of a nice hole. It actually doesn't really affect the camera view. I mean, there's a little bit of blurriness on the bottom right when it uses that particular camera. And I guess when there is a lot of light, it does this specular light thing, but it's kind of cool looking. It says clean your lens for clearer pictures. Oh my goodness, that's funny. Trolling me. My phone is trolling me. Dropbox. Add. Camera uploads. Upload here. Okay. Come here. Dropbox, camera. Sort by date, because I'm lazy. Hard cleaning at its best. Okay, this is what a picture from the phone looks like. Or from that particular camera. So you get kind of this blowout light down here and then a couple of specular lights up here. I mean, it's not a big deal for me. I don't really take very many pictures. I do take pictures of nature though. This was at the Arsenal. I mean, at the Wildlife Refuge. Majestic. Very majestic. Okay, anyway, catching up in chat is what I'm doing. Snobble says, hello, hello. I enabled AI-driven PR reviews today at work, and as expected, the front-end devs freaked out. And then John is here. John Stanley says, what? .NET devs developing. So we are working on quite a few things. We're working on probably too many things and I'm overwhelmed. That's probably where it's coming from. I'm feeling overwhelmed. For every one project, I actually have two now. We have not only this lab data upload utility, but the actual data import utility itself. So yeah, and then the RTRAC front-end website that we're trying to import this into at the same time as upgrading it to .NET Core and Blazor. Then at the same time as that, we have the DDMS effort where we're trying to move our file system into AWS S3 instead of on an actual EC2 instance on a virtual disk. And that's kind of come to a standstill because my energies got refocused to this. And I am a solo dev for anyone that happens to be new here. So I'm doing all of these efforts myself currently. I do have them planned out and written down on a scroll somewhere. And they know the amount of effort it takes for the things that I'm trying to accomplish with them, for them, them being the customer, the client. Yeah, so they're really cool at it. It's not like they're the ones putting pressures on me saying this needs to be done in like 2 minutes. Thank you so much, Dickersoft. So it's like company internal things like your project data storage. Exactly. Yeah. So all of the efforts that I am working on stream are client projects, and my one client is gracious enough to let me stream this because it's not like stuff that needs to be kept super duper safe. It's just a cleanup effort at the Rocky Mountain National Wildlife Refuge, and these are the applications used to track how the cleanup is being maintained, because it's already done. It's just now the process of maintaining it. So we have applications for reporting that generate charts and reports that get put into official documents that get sent to various environmental agencies. We have applications that are specifically used for tracking things like the water flow through the I'm going to call it Arsenal on occasion, so you'll hear me go back and forth between Arsenal and Wildlife Refuge. But it used to be the Rocky Mountain Arsenal. Now it's the Rocky Mountain National Wildlife Refuge. Since it's been demilitarized and again, all the cleanup efforts are done. It's all just maintenance now. We have applications for tracking and monitoring vegetation and fauna. So you can, yeah, that's what this one is for. Applications for tracking sample analyses. Is .NET like Django? I don't know enough about Django to compare that. So I don't know. Maybe someone else in chat could respond to that, but I personally have never used Django, nor have I really seen how it's used for development. DC Aggie says, I wrote my first actual as it going to really be used. Oh, as in it's going to really be used. App with heavy use of AI, posted a public repo on GitHub and asked for feedback, but quickly found that even on Mastodon, people don't reply without reading or with suggested code they haven't actually tried to run. And President Not Sure says, I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison. If it's the thing to work with data, then why not use Python? Because I'm a .NET developer, it's what I'm comfortable with, and I don't know how to do UI and stuff in Python. So I'm going with my strengths. Secondly, the client wants Microsoft products. Because the client is still affiliated with Department of the Army, and Department of the Army wants their apps to be in .NET. Oh, I'm not. At least not yet. Yeah, you're quite welcome. Yeah, .NET is well suited, says DC Aggie. I'm saying this as a statement because it is true. In my opinion, and in the places that I've worked, .NET is well suited for corporate business apps. I'm not doing inferencing and stuff on the majority of the data. The place where that would be cool would be in our document management system. So this is a large repository of digitized documents. I got words. I know how to speak English, I promise. So DDMS is the place that our document tracking center goes to enter all of those documents that I told you get generated by our apps, plus anything that comes from an external source. Newspaper clippings related to the Rocky Mountain National Wildlife Refuge go in here. Microfiche. We have an entire microfiche repository from like 1970s, 80s. I don't know when microfiche came out. That's like hundreds of gigabytes that have documents that have newspaper articles and stuff about the Rocky Mountain National Wildlife Refuge. And so they enter that into this system here. That gets indexed using an application called DT Search that's running on the server. That's what was in place when I got here, and I know very, very little about doing indexing. I kept hearing things like, why aren't you using Elasticsearch? And I'm like, because I don't know what that is or how to use it. at the time. I know more about it now, and it doesn't really seem like it's going to fit our use case as far as cost is concerned. So we use DT search. There's a Rabbit message queue service running on the server so that when you perform a search on the application, it sends a message to that message queue that says, I want to perform a search using DT search, or they upload a document and it says, I want to index this document. Yeah, Elasticsearch is very expensive as well, says President Not Sure. That's what I've been hearing. The other option that we were going to go with more recently was once we get everything in S3, they said that we would be able to use contextual, confluential, freaking cons. Anyway, AWS has some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It's pretty much an a RAG AI situation where you query your documents in natural language. And I can't think of what it's called. 2024 meetings. It's called Textract. So we're potentially thinking about that. It's allegedly $15 per 1,000 pages to query, but the actual indexing is quite a bit more expensive. So it's kind of like, we're happy with the process we got. The documents are searchable. You can enhance your searching if you know the DT search syntax. It would be nice if you guys are absolutely right. Whoever just sent that to me. It would be cool if we had a small local LLM that doesn't cost very much money to run, that we can do inferencing like this on. We can create a document LoRa that has all of the syntax for performing DT searches, and allow the user to type natural language for what they're searching for, send it through that local LLM, have it translate that natural language search into DT search syntax, and run that DT search syntax on the back end. You guys are geniuses. Thank you. It's a great idea. Oops, not that document. Let's try a different document. Where's my DDMS to do? Hello? Does anyone know what I did with my... There it is. DDMS to do. Local LLM, train LoRa on DT search syntax, run inference to change natural language search to DT search syntax. That would be cool. Who's missing buttons now? If only I could get more buttons somehow. Any recommendations, DC Aggie, for a thing that might come with a whole bunch of buttons on it at all? Download more. All right, you asked for it. We're getting it. Edit as HTML. Button type button. DC Aggie added button. Button. Copy. Pasta. Copy. Pasta, 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 pasta. There you have it. More buttons. Are you happy? Are you happy? You got your buttons. You got your buttons. Does this make you happy? You found a cool trick in Blazor. Please share. I do love cool tricks. Oh, and while you're sharing that, I do have one more thing that I can update us on, and that is that I am typing into my address bar http:// okay, I will do that. http:// let's do botapp.ng.he.local. Come on. You just worked. Oh, no, it should be up. I checked it this morning so that I could tell everyone. There it is. There it is. There it is. Okay, so I can currently, and I'm going to improve this. I'm going to make it better, but right now I did do the host file trick. But I can navigate to sub application or subdomain.mydomain.local and access the applications. Okay, so if you add a component named foo, you can try adding foo. And foo tricks. No, don't. It's a memory trap or a memory test. I have the beholder. A foo of foos. Love it. But silly that Blazor can't detect circular composition, even something as simple as including itself. So if I have a component in here that I know the name of, which I don't, chat connector. I think chat connector is a component. Top row. Let's just go to something that I have open. Dockable. No, I need to get the structure for the dockable toolbar. I need an easy component. I don't really have easy components, do I? I need the original app open anyway. All right, Dukasoft. My system will lock. What do you mean? I'm not going to add foo. I'm going to add a component that is in my project. Can I do that? Or is it only foo specifically? Adding any component to itself. Oh. Wait. In code. Here's what I thought you were telling me we could do. Since I had DevTools open, I thought you were indicating that I would be able to add a component name here, and that would get rendered because I added it to the DOM. That would be cool. That'd be very cool. Like, I know we would be able to do that if we created custom web elements, HTML elements, HTML custom. I think they're called custom web elements. Yeah, custom web elements. That's what I'm talking about. Oh. Okay, so you were saying if you have a component in Blazor named whatever it's called, and then you add itself as a child, then it will have an infinite loop and crash out. I've never done that before on accident. It was always on purpose when I did it. No, I don't think I've ever done that. Even accidentally. Goodness me, what am I trying to do? So right now, I'm trying to get a whole bunch of files open so that my the this environment matches my the that environment over there so that I can continue the work on the thing with the stuff. Also, did that make sense? Okay, to start off with, there are a few components that I need to get opened. And I'm just gonna, I'm gonna open them this way. There aren't that many, so it should be fine. We need the application. We'll do those in a second. We need the conditional value transformation input. .razor and .razor.cs. We need field mapper editor base .razor.cs and .razor. We need field transformation configuration .razor.razor.cs. Do we need both? We need both. We need mapping rule something panel config panel. I don't know that that's a name that I would have given it. That's probably, oh, this has to be. Yeah, I restored my entire component. Acclaration, emancipation, triangulation. Enjoying yourself, DCAG. That's some really nice triangulation you did. Map transformation input. Transubstantiation. You mean subtrans? AKA substate. Transformation input. Value transformation configuration. And I have no idea what that one is. Value transform tails. Details. Value transformation details. Gotta be. Goodness, what are you called? Rule details. Why didn't you find it? You should have been able to find it on partial. Okay, so I have all of the components that I need to have pinned. Dang it, why does it have to be one at a time? And it's only gonna pin one at a time still. Okay, so we got them all pinned. Then I was currently reviewing. So this is another one of those indicator. Oh, is this on? It's not on. Huh? Oh, file nesting. Yeah, I want file nesting. That's good. One of the cautionary tales is, for now, hopefully, I don't want to say hopefully because there's a lot of people that are against this, but potentially in the future, you won't need to do this much effort when you are allowing an agent to do its own work. But for now, I strongly recommend that whatever library gets generated, so I think President Not Sure was the one that said it. Nope, DC Aggie. So DC Aggie indicated that he had an AI agent generate a product. For now, it would probably benefit us as developers to review the generated code, even if the entire product works fine. So if we familiarize ourselves with the code itself, one, we could learn some new techniques for things. Two, we could find places where it is not actually doing what it says it's supposed to be doing. And three, we just get better as developers, potentially. Yeah, so anyway, that's kind of what's going on here. I had my core library that we developed on stream together. And then I let Visual Studio Code agent mode refactor it so that we got away from depending on the enum. And it did a whole bunch of changes that I wasn't expecting, but I was like, you're in a branch, just go, just do the thing. I will only get worse as a developer because age. That said, that you think age plays a factor in that. DC Aggie says, luckily this product is tiny, so I was able to read, understand, tweak, and test 100%, but that would be much harder with less trivially sized projects. For example, a data import utility that's supposed to be modular and extensible. But I do really, I plan on going step by step with the tools. So I keep saying it that way because the agent mode using AI to generate code in any form, whether it's through Copilot chat, whether it's through inline suggestions, or actually going to something like Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT or Grok or any of the other services and asking it generate code that does XYZ, or look at this code and fix it. It's still going to be a process of learning to use the tool to leverage the benefits that it has. Consciously, mindfully, responsibly, etc. All the other E's. Okay, so DC Aggie is saying, oh, did you say they just released an update to Visual Studio that adds agent mode? It's not, I mean, I didn't see agent mode when I tested it out. What it looked like it did is allowed you to pick the model, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But yeah, I mean, I did update Visual Studio, and that was my caution public service announcement. If you're going to update to the latest Visual Studio, back up your settings, save your window layout before doing so, because it will reset everything, even keyboard shortcuts. It was very frustrating this morning. Okay, but I mean, I will try it eventually, but right now, like I said, I'm manually going through the files because I am looking for the places where am I at? I'm in core. Oh, right, and I need those files open too. I'm looking for the places where either I don't understand what it's doing or it completely changed the logic. And I want to recover that logic. And I also want to fix any errors that are still persisting without sending it through the agent. I want to fix them manually. 17.14.10. And I am in 17.14.0. Oh, sorry, I read 10. Goodness. Anyway, so yes, I am at the latest. Yeah, but I haven't seen, so I tried a little bit of this morning, and it was okay. It was better experience than it was before, but I still didn't see how I could do agent mode in Visual Studio. But I haven't looked, so I'm not like saying you need to find it for me or tell me how to do it, because again, we're manually going through the code currently. And James Montemagno has a YouTube video out about it, so I'll probably end up watching that. It may be rolled out gradually. I've seen them do that with some other Copilot features. Agent mode needs to be manually enabled under options. Okay, so I will enable it. Agent mode. And the reason that the UI is all wonky is because I'm on 4K resolution and I increased the font size in the editor. Okay, so it's now enabled. Does that mean that it will always run in agent mode, or do I have a toggle? I have a toggle, just like in Visual Studio Code. You also have to wear a funny hat once you go into agent mode. I have no hats. You're going to have to settle for something that has my address on it. For some glasses from Christmas, from the Christmas in Color display. Oh, I cannot see. It wrote 24 lines of code and just stops there. Yeah, I'll try it out. If you're interested in me trying it out during today's stream, I can do that, but I would really like to continue the efforts from earlier. Which, this is not going to work. Okay, so if I can get to the point where I have the library cleaned up, I've looked at all of it, and I've cleaned up the library, and I'm ready to send it back to agent mode to say, I've cleaned things up. Like, one of the things I really don't like is that the type ID string, it's kind of cool because when you create your own implementation of comparison operation base, for example, the type ID string is the discriminator, and you can type whatever thing you want to be the type ID string. You can make it a GUID if you wanted, and have it be a GUID every single time. And that was kind of my preference. It's like, since the actual name doesn't really matter, we're not going to consume it as developers. We could just do GUID.new GUID.toString. And so for that entire session, for that run, it will always be the same GUID, or we could hard code a GUID in there. It doesn't really matter to me. But using something like core dot some name doesn't make sense to me. Another thing that we could do is something more like type of between operation dot fully assembly qualified name, and use that as the discriminator, because that will be unique. So I'm leaning towards this approach. That way it's a consistent value. I have an email to read. Marcus says, just tell it to do your job. It doesn't need any context, none at all. DC Aggie says, Agent Smith mode. So we're already living in Agent Smith mode, so it doesn't really matter. to add just a little more. What good is a keyboard if you are unable to code? I mean, Marcus doesn't use a keyboard. So what good is a keyboard? Period. President Not Sure said, not everyone codes using a keyboard. Okay, so anyway, those are some options that I'm considering. I have them written down in another scroll. I'm fresh and back. Hello, fresh back. I'm Dukitaki. Okay. I have an email to read, but I want to finish this review. Let's go. In a second. Let's go indeed. And of course, it's at 10:30. Oh my goodness. Ooh. So, thank you. The person that's emailing me is just as verbose as I am in email, which does make it kind of difficult. And I need to drink more water. I will drink water after this email because I just finished my bottle. Yes. I don't think I'm going to do that with this email. Which is not to say I haven't done it before. Just saying I'm not doing it with this email. Okay. Using the formulas you noted for Excel, although I replaced them with the values in the spreadsheet before uploading the data to the import tool. Possibly not necessary. In addition, I have the formula check both the result column and the flag column first. If result is ND or flag is J, then formula transforms the high limit to mantissa and exponent. Instead of the result, I will insert the formula you provided in the template, and then we can figure out how to make it work with the checks on two other fields. For now, okay, so that's one thing that I need to know. If result is ND or the flag is J, we use high limit instead. So there's one thing to take away. For mantissa calculations, set up automation named Tough. Does this guy want? I like this guy. I like communicating with him. But again, very verbose. Which is great. I prefer more information than incomplete information. Personally. So I'm okay with this. And this dude is really, really smart. He is one of the coolest, smartest peoples I have ever encountered. I just love working with him. I will insert the formula you provided in the template. We can figure out how to get it to work. For now, Excel transformation provides a file we can upload. The dilution and spike amount require the same mantissa and exponent transformation. Yeah, but do they use? They don't have nom-de-text, I'm assuming. But I will write that down too. And where even did I put the formulas? Can't believe I remember the formulas off the top of my head, at least. That was cool. 10 to the power of floor of log base 10 of the number. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I mean, hopefully you guys are just having fun, because there's a lot to be said about that topic. I'm changing the template for the file name for each file to load based on the lot number assigned. I add a field sample number column to the spreadsheet. This information the lab does not have, so no way to generate it from their output. Once Seth starts generating chain of custody records for Eurofins, the field sample number will be present on the chain of custody. However, Eurofins has stated that they can't process two IDs, site ID and field sample number for a given sample. So the field sample number still won't be in their output, even if we generate the chain of custody. Added the analysis column to the lab spreadsheet. Oh, you know what? I completely forgot. This is the information that I requested. So in my email this morning, I was like, okay, so it still sounds like there's a lot of manual work that you have to do. And I love automating things. So if you send me the list of all of the things that you have to currently manually do, then I will find ways to automate them. I love doing that. And so that's what this is. So that's perfect. That's like even more reason to not be upset at the length of the email. I just forgot. This provides a number to use sample number in the TRN file, columns 41 through 43, which is then the analysis number in the RMAD. This is required for all chemical records in the TRN file. Not sure where these come from for ARDL. I think it might be assigned through the chain of custody program because ARDL lab reports show RMA sample numbers in a format of XXXX-YYY, lot number dash analysis number. And although we're going to start generating chain of custodies for Eurofins, they still won't be accessing RTRAC like ARDL does to get lot numbers. It's done through their application, actually. Perhaps we can have the lab data import tool. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot to do. All right, compounding issue with sample numbers when there are dilutions required for a sample. When the lab needs to dilute a sample, they are basically running the sample a second time. So there are two or more results for the site ID test name combination. Okay. Are there any questions that they are asking me right now that I can answer? Is what I really want to find out. Almost there. None of these are critical since I have workarounds in place, either through the lab spreadsheet or TRN editor, but there will be substantial time savings as they get resolved. Whew. Okay, so we're gonna need to take this document eventually, this email that he sent, and break it up into work items, and we're gonna add it to Azure DevOps so that we can have a structured way of implementing these things. But the very, very first thing that I want to get done is getting the data import library refactored, brought back up so that we can continue using it with the data import utility without breaking any of the existing functionality. And then being able to add additional functionality easier. Easier, he says. Mm. Okay. I responded to him. I need to run and grab some more water because I only had one bottle down here today for whatever reason, so that I can do the drink of water. And then I'll catch up on chat and then we'll get some work done. All right. Yatta. Stop. All right. So I peed, refilled my water bottle. Not necessarily in that order. Keyboard is good for clickety clackety noises. Dukasoft came back, got his fresh order. Hello Fresh order. There are too many. There's Amazon Fresh, there's Freshly, there's Hello Fresh. Anyway, he got that put away and he's back and lurking, probably. And then we got some sound alerts and a drink of water and a suggestion to AI summarize the email. This guy is vibe coding and you are the AI. True. This is true. He's just giving you a lot of context. Oh my God, what if you are AI and don't know it? Then we'd be passing the Turing test, wouldn't we? What if AI is already controlling our realities? 123 into the stream, and we've reached Red Pill. Yes. Ahoy hoy, says Napalm, back in the continental states. How is everyone? Welcome back, Napalm. You were in Hawaii, I think. Hope you had an enjoyable time, enjoyable trip. And President Not Sure said ahoy hoy to you too. And says, yep, 2 weeks was great. Dukesoft says, too fresh. Too fresh. Too? Question man? I don't even know where it is. Oh, didn't he get rid of that? No. There was one emoji that Irish John Games got rid of that I was using a lot, that I can't remember what it was. I don't know which emoji it was. They all seem like they're there to me. Yeah, underscore. That one. That one. Okay, well, definitely feel free to tell us anything about what you did while you were there, or just anything you feel like talking about, Napalm. It's all gravy. I am going to keep working on opening the files that I want open currently so that we can finish the review. Actually, I am continuing the review. It's just that I need to keep this open until I have finished going through these. Okay, so what I'm oh yeah, and then it also got rid of the I can't even remember what it's called. It's like navigation preview. I never remember what it's called. It's called toast. Toast. Supposed to eat it the butter. I kind of want to leave the sticky scrollable scopes thing off for a while. I'm gonna leave that off for a while. Can you tell us what you are doing? Absolutely, and welcome in, Din Code. So I am a .NET developer, and I am currently doing my day job. So I'm a contractor, working on a contract. Go figure. Control Q and type in what you think it is. Oh no, that's that thing up there. It's okay. I don't need it on for this, I guess. So I maintain quite a few applications at the Rocky Mountain National Wildlife Refuge. Rocky Mountain Wildlife National Refuge. So this is a place where a long time ago they had a massive chemical issue where they used to manufacture chemical weapons, and we didn't use them. They disposed of them incorrectly, caused a lot of issues in the environment, and they had to clean it all up. So we are way past the point of having had cleaned it all up, and we're currently just monitoring it and making sure that there are no hazardous chemicals still going around. So we do random samples and send those off to labs every day, like literally every day. And so the lab will process those samples and give us lab results back. And they put that into a system called RTRAC. That's one of the applications that I'm currently working on upgrading and modernizing, as well as adding extra functionality to. Another application that we have is the one where we create the list of samples that we're about to send to that lab. I'm kind of doing this in a backwards way. What is that built on the mainframe? I don't know what you mean. Was it a picture? Was there a something that you saw? Was it in here? Oh, yeah. Okay. So you will see a lot of really, really old UI. And a lot of it is because when I first got here, do I have a background on Android APK a million years ago. I haven't done Java development or whatever current Android development looks like nowadays for a while. The most recent thing I've done was use Maui to create a multi-platform application, but that wasn't in production or anything like that. I definitely have never used Flutter. I know that it's a thing, but I haven't actually used it myself. But yeah, all of these applications used to be JSP applications or VB6, and they went from JSP to .NET when I got here. I've done a phone app on Android, vibe coded a lot, does what I want it to. Cool. But yes, there's a lot of applications that I maintain. I'm a solo developer, and again, they're my only client, so it's a lot of work remaining to do. Most of these applications are Blazor currently, but we still have, I think, 3 total applications that need to be pulled over to Blazor. Yeah, I'm trying not to react to it. I'm not the biggest fan of the there's a word I'm looking for, but the name that they started calling it. I just don't like it as a name. Just call it what it is. But yeah. Anyway, we will be doing AI assisted coding on the stream as well. But right now, what I'm trying to get through is reviewing a lot of the refactoring that was done. So the most recent thing that I did, I was saying this a little earlier, and I'll run through it really quick. Yeah, AI assisted or partner programming or stuff like that. So AI assisted programming is just, I get the Copilot stuff that it gives us, pretty much just the stuff you're used to doing now. You're in Visual Studio, you have Copilot turned on, you have IntelliCode turned on, you have something that is helping you, that is context aware, that is helping you write your code, as well as the far end of the spectrum, letting it do all of the coding for you, which is termed vibe coding currently. There are none. So what I did with this effort is I was working on the core application, the lab data import utility, to add functionality, to fix some things that are going on in it. And at the same time, because we had already finished the core library and it's in a workable state, but it's not quite built the way that I was intending it to be built, and I did it all on stream. So if you're interested in seeing how we put together the core library for this, one, you can check out the GitHub repo for it here. Yay! Because that part of it is open source. And 2, you can check out the past streams in a playlist called side project data import utility or something like that. I can't remember what I called it, but it'll be there. Do you have ideas about building APK, have an AI assist run locally? I don't, not off the top of my head. I'd really have to think about it. And since I am currently trying to focus on this effort, I can't promise that I can put too much thought into it. But it's not something I've thought about. But we can discuss it more. So Fridays, I host a community day every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time, which is UTC -6 currently. So from about an hour and a half ago, wait, no, from 10:30. I start at 10:30, right? So from about 40 minutes ago until for 2 hours, I just talk with you guys, discuss whatever topics you want to discuss. I mean, we still have normal chat during regular streams, but I try to focus more on doing work. But I always like to learn more from other developers. As a solo developer who doesn't really work with other people, I don't really have a way of connecting with other people to discuss the types of work that I'm working on. Community Service Day. So, and then DC Aggie coined a phrase called AI augmented. Cool. So yeah, so every Friday, 10:30 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. we discuss those topics. And lately the topics have been centered around AI. Last week was something else. Documentation. We were talking about documentation last week. But all of those videos are also on the YouTubes. So if you're interested in seeing what kinds of things happen on Community Day, you can check those out in a playlist called Community Day. All right, you enjoy your day too. Okay, so the thing that I'm really doing as I'm going through these files, oh, I didn't actually finish that statement, but I was doing the lab data import utility, trying to get that updated. At the same time, I had Visual Studio Code in agent mode, refactoring this library to line up with what I was hoping for it to actually be. And Wanderer of Land of Ooh, which I'm going to assume is object-oriented programming, says, hey man, I'm using the same JSON library right now. When one of my JSON model properties has a dot brush field, it throws an exception and says, there is an object cycle. Okay, do you have any idea why that might be? Absolutely. So welcome in, first of all. So if you're just using your regular system.text.json, aka json.net, I think that's json.net. So Newtonsoft is different than system.text.json. But anyway, so if you're using that, then an object cycle would be where a class has a child, a member that is either referencing the same class that you are declaring, or a separate class that references that class back. So the place that you might have it referencing itself is, let's say you have between operation, I don't know, instance. I don't know why you would have this in a non-static class, but that refers to itself. Then you could, or I guess public, static, sure. So if it was a static file, then you could have something like this, and then you set instance to that particular instance, and then you try to serialize it. When it tries to serialize, it's going to serialize the outer class, and then the inner class, which is going to be the same instance. I mean, this is not a thing, but imagine that you had that. Here, import data file. This one should be a good example. Excuse me, import data file. Okay, so in my import data file, for example, I have a data, wait. Oh, right, it's refactored. I'm not going to be familiar with all of these. Import table definition has a list of import record fields, which in turn has an which in turn has an import data file. Okay, so this one is a good one to look at. Our import data file is a class that contains a member that is a list of import table field definitions. So when it gets to here, it's going to try to serialize this member. When it gets to that member, it will see a list of imported record fields, and inside of there, the original imported data file. And then it'll try to serialize that again and again and again. So that is a cycle. That's what it calls as a cycle. The way to address that in current.net is when you're serializing, you are able to provide JSON serialization options. And typically you would do this in a static class so that you're not creating new JSON serialization options every single time you try to serialize. But let's say you have my D serial. So you're using JSON serializer dot. Oh my goodness, this is text. JSON serializer dot serialize this, which is, again, this is going to be an imported data file that we just went through. You would create new JSON serializer options. And again, you probably do this outside. And I think it's called it's called object handling. Something handling. Reference object or preferred object creation handling and reference. Oh man, which one of these is it? Reuse. No, it's not this one. I can't remember off the top of my head. I mean, you probably don't want to ignore it. You are essentially going to tell it to reuse the object that has already been serialized. And it has ways to do that. It's a lot easier to do in Newtonsoft because it's called reference loop handling. But in system.text.json, serializer options for cycles. Reference loop handling. Wait, that's Newtonsoft. So yeah, that's another thing. If you're getting this in a controller, that defaults to using system.text.json, and I don't remember whether or not there is a way to configure the serializer settings when you're doing that. But oh, it's got to be this one. Reference handler. Okay, get an object that indicates whether metadata properties are honored when JSON objects and arrays are deserialized into reference types, and written when reference types are serialized. This is necessary to create round-trippable JSON from objects that contain cycles or duplicate references. Okay, so here you are. This would be the setting to set reference handler equals reference handler.preserve. In your JSON serializer settings. I mean, I'm sure I have it somewhere. I can't remember right now off the top of my head. I have to use that in plenty of places. Anyone remember where I put it? Salad. Yeah, it's somewhere, but that should get you part of the way there. So definitely try it out. If you still do run into issues, feel free to follow up. feel free to hop into our Discord if you want. We're a pretty laid back community. It's not very active or anything, but one thing that I try to promote on our Discord is if you ask a question, that you don't get berated for asking your question however you ask it. Of course, if it's intentionally, oh, you know the word that I'm getting at. But the thing is, if you just try to ask a question there, I will at least take it seriously and try to respond to you. I'm not saying this is the case, but if you have serialization problems, it's worth taking a step back to see if maybe you are serializing the right type at the right time. For example, or in other words, a DTO might be a better option than a business object or framework's supplied type. Yeah. And Wonder responded, I actually went the DTO way, but I was wondering if there was a better solution. I mean, the thing that I assume with all of my code is that there's always a better solution than the one that I choose to go with. But that's just me. But you are wondering what a potential better solution might be right off the bat. Okay, we may run into it. I don't know. But I didn't see my serializer settings class that I usually create. So I usually have a JSON serializer extensions or helpers or something like that with my public static JSON serializer options for or for system.text.json, and then JSON serializer settings for Newtonsoft. And I have a basic configuration that I use and then I add to it if I need to. But then whenever I'm doing a serialization or deserialization, I just use that static class's oh dear. We're going to get to that in a second. Okay, so I want to get through all of these files. Interesting. This is an interesting approach. So once again, a lot of this code is going to have been either rewritten or just generated from scratch by the Visual Studio Code agent mode while it was trying to refactor my library. So what I'm really looking for are there any nullability warnings? Are there comments and stuff that don't really need to be in here? Are there suggestions that I would normally apply to the code? Are there empty files? And the weird thing is that I thought I got rid of these files in my most recent commit. So that's very odd. Where are we? We're in automated realms, data import utility core, helpers. Nope, they're still there. Okay. I just haven't gotten to them yet, is what the thing is. Okay, so the other thing that I need open is the original library. So this is going to be the library that you will see at that GitHub link. Actually, you're going to see both of these branches, but it's what you're going to see if you go there and look at main. Did I even open the right solution? DC Aggie says, too many empty files means you touch too much. Yeah, probably. That's a Billy Joel Unix joke. So I don't know the Billy Joel song that's related to that, but I get the Unix part. Is it because Billy Joel was a harasser? Or is it a song from Billy Joel? What was I looking for? I was checking to see if this is the original. It's not. I should be able to get it from here. He wrote a song about his agent embezzling his money. What a jerk. How dare. Hodor. This is going to be really weird because when I'm doing this workflow, I like to have my screen split and there just isn't enough space for this when I have it zoomed in like this for the stream. Oops, wrong button. I needed to push this button first. Okay, the thing that I was looking for was what? Mapping rule extensions. So this is the enum that I'm trying to get rid of. Yeah, so all of these mapping rules. Wait, why are you missing mapping rule type? What happened? Am I sure I'm in the right solution? See these things that say do not modify? What happened? No, help me. Gosh, I need to take my editor font size down. I need to be able to see for a second at least. You take a piece of whatever you touch. Too many pieces means you're touching too much. Yeah. Why? So this original version is supposed to be the stable version that's currently in main. And it's there for reference. And there wasn't anything that I did that would have modified it. Oh, duh. I know what it is. Build source generator. Build app. Oh dear. Whatever. It seems like my source generator is failing on this computer for whatever reason, but that's fine. The cool thing is that that's the main reason that I wanted to get away from this, and we're seeing it at play. So we'll be, and of course it worked. So my source generator is generating files. Egg nabbit. Okay, but the main thing that I'm seeing in here is the use of all of the enums for all of these extension methods, and therefore I'm pretty sure that I don't need this file for the refactor version. Same thing with mapping rules helper. Let's see. That is to get the rule descriptions, and we're using the enums to get the rule descriptions. We're doing that a different way now, so we don't need that file anymore. File helper. I moved, so I mentioned that I wanted to do this many streams ago, but I wanted to decouple the data file reader implementation from the core library. That way, all that you would need to do if you're going to use this library is provide your own or reference the NuGet package for the data reader that I will provide. It's just that I haven't had any time to update that library. Whoops. But I'm assuming that this file is specifically for using the data file reader, the Excel data file reader. Yeah, and that should be in the data reader class. File reader, or project. Yeah, data file reader, it exists there. We don't need it in the core library or in abstractions core library. And finally, data table extensions. I don't know. Did that get moved maybe to the abstraction library? It did, which makes sense. So I will keep that. And model validation helpers, again, most likely in the abstractions library, because that's where all of my models are. So all of those folders go away. Excuse me. It's funny, when you delete a folder, it's like, I'm going to open up Windows Explorer. Okay, so more review. Leave a review. Right. Man, this is really difficult having the screen, the font big enough for you guys to be able to see. But I'm going to work a little fast on this so that we can get back to doing some actual coding, or letting Visual Studio Agent mode do it for us. And I'm saying Visual Studio this time because they recently released, as of this morning, probably, maybe last night, Visual Studio update. I found it this morning, or I saw it this morning, so that's why I'm saying this morning, that allows you to turn agent mode on in Visual Studio proper. So we're going to see how it does. And of course, I've just like completely blanked out for 12 seconds there, trying to remember what it is that my goal is. So we don't need uopen. We're down here at string. These are tests. Where are there tests open? Comments, refactor opportunities. And DC Aggie says, just earned another award at work for a project I recently completed. Is it the small one that you were just talking about? If so, congratulations on that. But regardless, congratulations on that, I should say. We don't need uopen anymore. Don't need uopen. Okay. I've already done some deletes up there. Lots and lots of comments. This is probably from the original. These are probably my notes. Let's find out. No, they aren't from my notes. That's annoying. Okay, so that's a file that I want to revisit. It's the one that I was working on adding as the new feature. Wait, no, this is combined fields, not conditional operation. This is the combined fields transformation, though, which is different than the combined fields rule. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Yeah, so these are some comments that I don't understand why the AI agent found the need to add. I was bouncing back and forth between GPT-02 preview and Sonnet 3.7, depending on which one was just not responding anymore. So Sonnet, I run out of tokens pretty quickly, and GPT-02 preview just starts saying stuff like the response failed, or it was interrupted, or something. And it was the system you inherited from a coworker. Oh, the coworker who passed away. Right. Well, that's awesome, though, that you were able to get that completed and you were recognized for it. So congratulations. Good job. Amazingness. And wunderbar. Right. And then all of these this dots. That one is just, it's a me thing. I don't really like using this dot. And then it did a lot of this too, where it was like, you don't need to explicitly declare. Everywhere else in my code, I use var. This should have, oh, right. This one definitely needed to be declared. I was thinking that it should have inferred the type, but it's going to infer as an IEnumerable, as opposed to an array of string. Although with the final return, you would assume that it would infer an array of string. Whatever. Whatever. You're going to need to set up Copilot instructions for each project. I kind of remember you telling me that that was a thing, but I don't think I ever did it. I don't think I ever set up instructions. Do you happen to know if that's a thing in the Visual Studio version yet? You can ask AI to start it for you. Yeah, I'll definitely do that, because there's like, I have the one that I use for Claude, which just pretty much says I prefer collection initializers, collection expressions, file scope namespaces, implicit variable declarations, and a couple other things. Curly braces around my if statements, even if it's only one action that happens. Yeah, don't know if it's in Visual Studio yet. And it'll look at .NET config. Yeah, it's weird. Well, no, I guess it's not too weird, because I was running it in VS Code and I haven't really done any configurations in VS Code. And I don't have an editor config for the project, because I just rely on Visual Studio to do that for me. And again, solo developer, so I don't really need to keep the syntax consistent across a team and people who open this. But maybe I do. I forgot that this one is an open source project, so it might behoove me to create an editor config. Notepad. That here. Editor config for OSS data import utility. Okay, noted, noted, and also noted. What else am I reviewing on this page? And this, null forgiveness operators. Just don't. Just do a proper null check up here. Like, I don't even understand why we're using result value to begin with. Are we modifying result value somewhere? And then we're also setting another variable? It's like, no. Just no. Let's do it like this instead. If we're gonna do that, let's just do it like this. That way we do a null check on transformation detail first, then we set result value to why even are we doing that? Just, we aren't even using result text. Oh my goodness. Problem is it's using other people's code to figure out stuff. And null forgiveness operators, they die for your non-existent sins. I think that's how it works. And President Nacho says, yeah, if you can provide examples via your own code, it helps the output dramatically. Awesome. So that's going to help improve the workflow there then. So notes are for at least VS Code agents and possibly VS proper agents when it's available. Specify instructions. Ask the AI to generate the beginning set of instructions. If using VS Code, have an editor config that it can reference. Yeah, cool. Maybe more of a null indulgence then. That's what I think. That's better. Marcus says, I do like telling it to fix all the warnings, and sometimes it works. When I tell it to address the nullability warnings, it adds stuff like if the method is declared where the parameter is non-nullable, the very first thing it does is if whatever the input is null, throw new argument null exception. And it writes it out like this. So I know the shorthand for this. But like argument null exception dot throw if null. Just regular argument exception. Anyway, there's a throw if null in one of these that we could turn this into. But point is, we're declaring the method as not taking as having a non-nullable parameter, so we don't need to actually check for the null parameters. The other place it does the null checks is in a constructor when you're asking for a dependency injection. And it does the same kind of, if this parameter is null, then throw a new null argument null exception. I'm like, we don't need that. And I don't get it, because it's like current formula is being set to the non-null transformation detail. We know it's not null because we're doing a null reference or a null check up here. We're not modifying it anywhere between that null check and here. Therefore, it's not null. And then down here, it's like, but it may be null. Like, no, it's not null by the time we get here. Summon a biscuit. I kept it, and I'm moving on. Okay, notes, weird notes. I added this for this specific model. Yeah, but do we need to know that? This dots, go away. Okay, I will be doing less mansplaining of the things that I'm doing and just more saying it as I do it, but I'm not going to stop to describe them as much. Dang it. We'll see what's happening here. Devsplain. If you look closely at this code, the reason that I'm doing this part is because strings should be declared as variables when you are using them in your code in various places. Have you ever thought of, have you tried doing that before? Declaring a variable when you're about to use the variable? What even is he talking about? Oh, and that's the other thing. I prefer is not null and is null. Here's an example of, we have two non-nullable arguments that are being passed in, and it's trying to throw argument null exceptions. However, in this case, I don't care about the type, but I do care about the type ID, because we are going to throw it when it's null or white space. And I do like that it did end up using null or white space for me, because that is my preference. A lot of people tend to prefer or only know about null or empty, but I want to make sure that even if it's only spaces or carriage returns or whatever, that it's treated as null. This service is thread safe. Thank you for telling us. We don't need to know. We don't need this either. Oh, so many things. Substrates. Somebody said substrates lately. Transubstantiation. Okay, good for us. Wait, why? Why? Generates the syntax. That doesn't make sense. Did I used to have it? Substring transformation. So you were part of the base class, and now suddenly you aren't part of the base class, probably because it's only ever used with this implementation and I don't use it anywhere else. Okay, fine. Sure. Now the thing is, I don't know how many of the logic plural, I don't know how many of the logics got updated as far as is it still performing the same functionality? I can't be sure of that. That's why we're reviewing it. Oh gosh. Oops. Do you really need to? We know that value is always going to be a nullable object. This is not going to be fun. But again, I think I've said this before, but one thing that I do like to do is get as proficient as I can with the tools I have available. If I find that a tool is not enhancing my flow experience, then I will drop it and maybe come back to it later. But right now, adding AI to my workflow has been mostly successful. But as I'm looking back through it, I need to find ways to have it be even more successful. Like, for example, a file's structure. I prefer to have private read-only, or I guess const fields and private static up at the very top, then private read-only fields, then constructors, and then public members. So public properties, public methods, and then at the very bottom, private members, private methods. And here it does all of the public and private fields at the top, and then the constructor, or no. Oh yeah, and then the constructor. Validation. Ugh. Okay, I believe you. We're going to validate it, but I believe you for now. Trust but validate. So I guess what I was trying to say is that this is still a learning process for me as far as how I'm going to be using the tools going forward. And if providing instructions, I should be noting these things down. Prefer implicit variable definitions. Avoid null forgiveness operators where possible. So if I can come up with a good set of instructions that I can provide to it up front, that will help it be a much more smooth flow for me. in the long run. I would encourage you to just do baby steps with agent mode at first. Otherwise, it will just do everything. And that's the other thing. Even if I provide explicit instructions, you guys have seen how I write prompts, and you see how detailed I can be and how verbose I can be. It will still interpret it in a way, which I'm still learning how to write my prompt so that it doesn't interpret it this way, but it'll still interpret it in a way where it will take action on the things the way that my prompt says to take action on them. So for example, if I was like, let's go one file at a time and review them, the prompt response will be, I've referenced one file, reviewed it, here's the review. Now I'm going to move on to the next file. Open, reference it, review it, here's the review. Now I'm going to go to the next file. And it's like, I meant stop in between each, but I don't think it knows what it means to stop. And hello, Thindle. I missed your stream yesterday. It was a very, very busy day. I got there about 30 minutes after you ended your stream. But Thindle is an amazing streamer developer. You should definitely check him out. Perhaps AI eats Pringles. Once it pops, it can't stop. This is true though. I mean, that's what it feels like. You're like explicitly saying, after you finish one file, report to me. And it'll still interpret that as, I finished this file, here's my report, I'm moving on to the next file. Finish that file, here's my report, until it runs out of tokens or until it runs out of space in that particular message. And then you're like, I don't want to pause you because you are giving good information. I just wanted to ingest them one step at a time. Yeah, and that's another thing. I've said this before, but I do think that at least one of the AI providers has it set up so that it will purposefully misinterpret your request and provide output that you're not really looking for in a verbose way, so that you have to re-request it and run out of tokens a lot faster, so that they encourage you to upgrade your tier. It's how it feels to me. I can't say that this is how it actually is. It is kind of conspiratorial, and I do apologize for that. It's speculative. It's very negative, but again, yeah, Marcus knows the one that I'm talking about. It just feels that way. It's a gut feeling. Or AI is just not all of, well, yeah. The way that we define AI, yes. Again, these blanket statements, man. Let's just say there is no incentive to prevent that from happening. Correct. In fact, there is incentive to cause that to happen, without saying that it is or is not happening. Dude. Use tuples. That's a good idea. And use tuples. I like tuples. Ugh. Marcus says, I would say that controlling AI is a bit like herding cats, unless you put the temperature on 0. On 100? Or is 100 the most creative? I thought 100 is get the same response every time for the same prompt and token. I think it's more passive, like this. Says president, not sure. I put temperature at negative 273. Only one available on Azure? Very interesting. Gosh, there's so much that I would do not quite the same as this. But yeah, hopefully. Yeah. It's just so weird. The places where it chooses to put comments and just weird stuff. All right, I don't care too much for this file. It's adding in, what is it, clamp? Yeah, it's adding in clamp to the math library so that we can do math.clamp, low value, high value, actual value, low value, high value. For value map, thank you. Marcus says temperature 2 makes absolutely no sense. Just comes back as gibberish. Weird. That is very weird. Yeah, so like local host 7860 should be TextGen Web UI. It is. So in TextGen Web UI, which is just a local stable diffusion style or automatic 1111 stable diffusion style UI for text prompts and stuff, you get temperature between 0 and 100. Why is, oh, okay. Between 0, what? Between 0 and 5, apparently. And I have mine set to 0.7. So again, I don't remember. Is low temperature always respond with the same response, or is high temperature always respond with the same response? Which is to say, low temperature is be creative, high temperature is fit in my box. Okay, so it is the higher the number, the more creative it is with its response. Using words correctly, Marcus. So 0 is deterministic. I used to know words like that. Tuples are great. Can't wait for .NET 10. Maybe we will finally get thruple. Oh gosh. Marcus says, isn't that just a class? Which one? The math one with the clamp and all that stuff? The reason I needed that one was because I'm targeting .NET Standard 2 and I still want to use clamp. So I had to add it in. All of reality and free will is a myth. I disagree. I don't care what quantum physics says. I agree, but I disagree. Again, I don't know if you're doing it just to be funny. Yes, coalesce. But you know that those types of things trigger me where it's like, here's this blanket statement with no conversation backing. Are you trying to goad me into conversation because you know that makes me want to talk about it? I watched Scott Hanselman video a while back on what? I don't think quantum physics gives free will. I have my understanding of things, which is not necessarily correct or right, but I have an understanding that really makes sense to the way that I live regarding free will, regarding what we do and don't have control of, what reality is. Is it just a simulation? What does that even mean? Have you heard of projection, where projection is not necessarily the way you think of a projector projecting things? All the good topics to talk about when it comes to deciding what reality is for you and how you live your life. Agree to disagree must be Schrodinger's concurrence. From red pill into Plato's cave, what a strange day. I mean, you're the one leading us there. So that's fine. If that's where you want to take us. People just like to get your goat. I don't understand that. I really don't understand that. Why can't there be joy in not doing that? in cheering people on? You know. Can we apply this to the entire solution? Of course we don't exist. Only one lion exists, and we are just figments of his dream world. Yeah, and again, like if you're saying that because you think that's what I think, I don't like that. But if you're saying that just because it's how you think, then I respect it. I say it to mess with the others in chat. I don't know what you think. I mean, I've said it many times before, but of course, that doesn't necessarily mean you were paying attention those other times, nor am I expecting it. So yeah, I need to not act like I was expecting you to hear what I've said about that before. I don't have any goats, says Marcus. And that's completely okay. Go back and watch Nightmare on Elm Street 3. He's the orderly. Me? Or... I just want to look like Morpheus, says Marcus. Determinism is kind of like thinking everyone is an NPC, even yourself. Kind of. So, another way that you could possibly look at it, Lawrence, or Larry, I guess, yeah, Fishburne. Another way that you could possibly look at it is that determinism is real and free will, and that does not violate free will. I haven't been paying attention. Speaking of, have you seen Devs? Devs is a great show. I enjoyed it. I just love that not being able to pay attention is called attention deficit disorder. there's just so many inconsistencies that I'm not tackling right now. I probably shouldn't have even been doing that up until this point. I'll just do it now. We'll take care of all of them. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Or we could do Romeo and Juliet. So the reason that I didn't do a find and replace all is because I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted all of them to be null, especially since there's a bunch inside of the JavaScript files, but that's going to be fine. I can fix that very easily. But is there anything here that I don't want to turn into is null? Not that I'm seeing. All right. So all of our equals equals nulls is going to turn into is null. Nope. Totally botched that. 135 occurrences. Control Z. Oh dear. Oh man. Oh no. All right, so I need to replace all is new with one L with is, oh my, what's going on, keyboard? Come on, cooperate with me, please. Okay, with is null, and then replace is null with 3 L's with regular is null. And that should fix my typo. Finish. Zero occurrences replaced. No, I must have clicked the do not show this. Okay, but that should be good to go. And then so that I don't forget to undo the JavaScript changes, I am going to undo changes. Although I may have to do it in the TypeScript file. Oops. And then there should be some in a www root folder. No? Am I not actually clicking yes? Thank you. Much appreciated. Okay. Was it fun? I hope it was fun. I hope it was enjoyable. Close, close, close. Good. Good. Oh, right. And then I wanted to do the other one. So I want my not equals null to be is not null everywhere. And are any of you JavaScript files by chance? Not this time. Cool. Okay. There are a whole bunch of this dots. So let's find all of the this dots and see if I am comfortable with replace all. I'll do that one after we finish this current effort so that we can do a discard if it doesn't work. Replace all this dots after current commit. Okay, so we should be able to get to that, I hope. Do you have JS file enabled when searching? I think I do. I should just turn that off, huh? Which is what, not something like that? You probably can't see it because it's super small. Something like this. I definitely want to have that on for some things, but definitely not this find and replace. All right. Thank you for telling us. I really need to review this right hand, left hand operand thing to see if that's a good approach for these. Because there's a lot of instances where secondary right operand isn't really used. Like I would say 95% of the cases, if I were to throw a number off the top of my head. Yeah, and then how am I going to find all declarations that are not var equals? I think if we did something like if we have at least 4 spaces followed by a set of characters that is not var, followed by another set of characters do I have to put this in parens too? Equals, yeah, no, it's not matching anything. Square bracket? Oh, right. But it can't be a space either. Does it not go outside somewhere? I don't know. I'll have to come up with the regex for that, but I'm sure there's going to be a way for me to find out if there are explicitly declared variables that are not public or private fields that are within method blocks so that I can turn them all, or at least identify them. I don't need to bars. But I like the consistency of having them all declared the same. Thank you. Have the rest of them been saying this? Oh. Plenty of them have. Do 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 do. Yes, thank you for that. Comparison operation base is broken. I probably accidentally did a cut just then. It is a lie. Oh, man. And also, so this one I should have memorized. It's something like namespace followed by pretty much anything. Star dot star question mark, followed by a carriage return, followed by an open curly brace. The problem is that I don't know how to replace the closing bracket on the files that I update. Can I do file name scoped in the entire solution? I can. Perfect. All right, that's taken care of. It seems to be a pattern. Dang it. That didn't work. Because there are object left values in argument lists. Do you hear a hissing noise? Actually, I kind of do. I don't know if you guys can hear my mobile studio, but it's done some crazy stuff with its fan. Why are you being so weird? We should be able to search for this then. Watch out for snakes. Where the snakes is at? You know, hissing a lot. You know, we accidentally pushed the button on our TV remote, which I don't really ever use except to turn the TV on and off. And we were suddenly watching some movie on television that was being broadcast in real time. I don't know if you've ever experienced that before. I vaguely remember something like this growing up. I used to do this all the time. It was very weird. Anyway, the thing that reminded me of that is that I saw Samuel Jackson, I called him Samuel, standing at the entryway of an airplane and someone complaining about being bitten by a snake. Bet you can't guess what movie that was. It was so weird seeing cable though. Oh, I guess it's Samsung TV, which is like cable TV except Samsung, and it's still streaming, but like it's regular networks. Making sure I didn't mess that up. Oh man, have I been paying attention to these comments up here? Does anyone happen to see any more up there that don't need to be there? From now on, you are all tasks that when you do a using, you need to indicate what files you're doing that using for. I mean, what classes? That makes perfect sense. Ver. Ver. Yes, 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 man. And I haven't been formatting these the way that I like to have them formatted so that I make them easier to read for myself. Space. Save. Oops. Oh, wait. Wait, were all of those is numerics? Dang it. I could have sworn I went through all of those and changed it already. So I noticed that it decided to oh, I was like, what's going on here? I noticed that it decided to rewrite the same is numeric method everywhere. I have a helper for that. I said I have a helper for that. Did that not get saved? It's right here. Number helpers. In abstractions, helpers for nullable object is numeric type. Consistency is key. Okay, this looks like it's also pretty prevalent everywhere. Do var. This was the only place that had that. Probably because I did all the rest of them already. Var. Do 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 do. Hmm. I'm just gonna, man. Like, because of how many of these I've seen where there are just approaches that I really don't like, I'm starting to feel like I just want to start the whole refactor over. I want to use this as like a basis for how to refactor. Like, instead of using the enums, just change everything to this type ID string and then pass that type ID into the base when initializing a concrete version of that class. But it like changed around so much of the logic that I don't know what it's doing anymore. So reviewing is what I'm doing. NVim, like NeoVim? Is that what you're indicating? Because I am unfamiliar with what NVim is, if it's supposed to be something that I should be familiar with. And welcome in. Is it Shiwiz? 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 Oops. Did I even check? Wait, what? Didn't I? Yeah, probably. That probably wasn't the right syntax for excluding JavaScript files. It kind of looks like it's the right syntax though, but it just didn't seem like it did the find and replace everywhere. Unless I added like an extra space or something. I don't know. Replace all. Okay, it did it this time. No! That's what happened. This now says left value instead of left val. Ah. Nothing? Nothing, Shiwiz? Right. I still needed all of those is numerics back. That is a lot of is numerics. Here. Okay, I see. Left val, right val. I forgot a dot. Type. Type. I will remember, right? Probably not. Man, the mood sure did just kind of sink, didn't it? Yep, you're still there. Okay, so here's what I'm going to attempt, which is probably going to fail epically, but it's going to look so good. Doing it. We're going to search for all is numeric, with regex searching on, followed by an explicit parenthesis, followed by a non-space, at least one character word, followed by a closed parentheses. I know how to word. And we're going to replace it with is numeric type, open close parent, everywhere, which I wanted to do in Control-Shift-H, but whatever. And it's no longer showing me the pop-up for X number got replaced. So I need to reset that setting somehow. Then we should have some errors in a whole bunch of files, but we're going to find that out when we try to rebuild. Because we'll need to add the reference to the top, or the ones that didn't already have it. To the top. What is this extra space? Why would you do that? Okay. Right, but I still do need to manually get rid of the static methods. And then there's this can convert to time that's being used in multiple places. And this should be more like a try convert to date time. So let's go find where that one was. You can simplify this. We don't need to explicitly state object dot. Cool. What was I doing? Looking for these. Looking for these first. Fixing the references. Yeah, I guess that's going to be easy. So all of the places where this method did exist would be places that got updated just now. And we would be able to see whether they need the reference. Added. like so. Cool. Do I want to do these now? I kind of want to do these now too. So wherever we have Control Shift H, regular expressions, wherever we has a can convert to date time followed by an open parent followed by anything. Actually, I'm gonna is that gonna be too eager? Is that the word that I'm looking for? If I do anything, closing parentheses. No, I do need to get out what the variable name is, so I can't do that anyway. So any non-space character, at least one of them, followed by, I guess at this point it can be anything else. So out var date time blah blah blah. Except that those are strongly typed, coded, and I would want them to be vars. That's fine. It's fine, right? It'll be fine. And we'll replace them all with whatever we found first dot can convert to date time, whatever we found second, and that's it. Just do it. What's the best that can happen? Best that can happen is that it works, and it works well. Then we got to go back to finding the is numeric method. So there's one. You guys have your references. You got your references. You are no longer used. You are no longer used. Let me guess, this form of it is different. Why would you do that? Why would they? I say they. Why would the little gremlins in the AI machine, the little hamsters, change the approach within the same session? Oops. Like, what even is this? You have it. You have it up here, and you have it down here. So let's see if we can rewrite this a little bit. If left value is date time LD, or right value is date time RD, J, or can convert left value and right value, which is to say both of them can be converted to date times, which is not right. Yeah, this logic is terrible. Scott says, daily news, Microsoft SQL Server 2025 Enterprise AI Ready database is announced and will be in public preview in about 2 weeks. Private preview is available for some after submitting form. I tried out, I don't know what version it is, 21, I think, SQL Server Management Studio 21, which is now being distributed using the Visual Studio installer, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, Scott knows. You're on top of that too. My experience with it, well, it's great. It's fantastic. Dark mode is built in. It was smooth, but the features aren't all there. So I can't just use it. I was really happy with it. But I just couldn't use it because for things like import data, that's not available in the preview version. Microsoft says AI ready DB. What does that mean? It means strong vectors in the database is supported there. That's awesome. I've been wanting a vector DB. I still haven't done the research on what it means to have a vector DB, but it would be nice if I could have one of those so that my agents, my local LLMs have access to memory, for example, to a memory store. Or document RAG store. Okay, I am wanting to fix the logic here so that it says if left value is a date or it can be converted to a date and right value is a date or can be converted to a date. That's what I want. All right, so I'm just missing a parent and a parent. And apparently, okay, so again, if the left value is already a date time, then we use it. Or if it can be converted to a date time, then we use it. Same with the right value, but they both must end up being a date time by the time we get here. Then we are going to return left date equals right date. I think. Cool. And Scott gave us the blog for the announcement, which I'm going to put over here in my after stream tabs. But yeah, that sounds cool, especially if they have a developer SQL Server edition that also supports it. It'd be awesome. Interestingly enough, it was announcing in 2024, November. Whoa. I see. そうですね. Bar. Ow. I need to stop doing that. But heard from .NET stream from Shay, it'll be publicly available in about 2 weeks. Awesome. Are they on now? Is it the EF community? I don't think they're on now. Heard it from a friend who... I have not been keeping up with any of the with anything. I'm just falling behind. Trying to do too much all at the same time. And it's starting to show that I'm not able to keep up with all of it, with the changes. Like, I also recently got a message from AWS that there's some action that I need to take. And from where's this other one? Oh, it would be on this screen. From, oh, my dental insurance. What was the other one? Weird. Weird much? Try that again. Gmail. Where are my stored items? Yeah, there's Delta Dental and Delta Dental. I could have sworn that I starred more than this. This is not making me feel very good about using stored items. But they streamed AI stuff with EF about a new AI search feature in EF Core. That would be insane if it's built in. That's what I get for talking about my email. I'm getting emails up the wooza. Oh. I was like, who in the world? What in the world? What kind of crickets? I've been going through and trying to find all of these is numeric extend or static methods and replacing them with the is numeric type so that I don't have to have that rewritten in the same way 6 different times or more. And I think I just took care of them. So now I need this one. I don't remember. Probably because I wasn't keeping up with that. But it should be. Dang it. It should be text. If you're going to use it for marketing, it should be. I got one of the craziest looking unsolicited mails the other day. That was pretty convincing. And I was like, if I was not me, and if I had not been burned as many times as I had been, this would have been pretty convincing. Email should be free. Reply all should cost 50 cents. New dating app, unsolicited mail. We'll set that right up. Actually, you should get to partner programming with some AI to get it set up. Tell us how it goes. You'll probably get how to care for your partner. Buy some dog food. Sit boy. Okay, we were close, but then I started going off on tangents, but we're close again. So all I'm doing is just a quick scan of things that I didn't. So much rain and hail. Aw. It'd be nice if it was just rain, but you're getting hail too. That's sad. Just something I noticed about these western states. You don't just get, well, the ones close to mountains, I guess, and desert. You don't just get rain. It has to come with hail. It'd be nice if. It would be cool if. All right, we're done with you. You can go away. All right, I think we're back to where we ended off last. I hope. I'm just looking for any strongly typed variable declarations inside of method bodies and refactoring opportunities. Stray comments. I mean, there's a lot of stray comments in here that are just not necessary. Join us on Disgorge. Disgorge. I'm not even going to go into what that means. Heart check. Does everyone have a heart? Do y'all know where your heart is? That one needs to be declared. That one needs to be declared. Yeah, and things like this. It's like, is this really the way that I would want to do this? Nested ifs like that. Check sleeve. Yep, still there. Aww. How? Comparison operation factory. Yeah, this is definitely something that I want to take a closer look at. It's not an approach that I have used. So it's a really interesting thing that I might want to adopt. Who knows? Who knows? But we have combined fields. Why did I have this one pinned? I needed to write notes. Dang it. Why didn't I write notes? Oh, never mind. Because the notes are written for me. There's this big old block down here that's like, I didn't implement these things because, well... That's my favorite thing. It's like, it starts implementing everything nice and clear, and then it'll just, for whatever reason, decide that this method here has this, in a real world situation, this would be implemented to do X, Y, Z. Or sometimes, like when it's starting to get close to run out of tokens, it'll just at the end of a file be like, other methods omitted for brevity. Just put them in there until you run out of tokens. No! How did that end up? Huh? Which one of you caused that? Object question mark, final result equals rule detail. We're converting rule detail to a nullable object? Why? This one really doesn't make sense to me. So get value and constant value rule is casting our rule detail, which is going to be a string value every time. Oh, no, it's not, because it's entirely possible that the field that we're targeting for this is going to be a non-string. Okay, okay. Then why is rule detail a string to begin with? Weird. I almost forgot what I was doing. This is not what I intended for display name to be. But I guess it works because short name would have the thing that should be displayed in a dropdown, but display name, yeah, that's weird. It's very interesting. Typically, okay. Data tables are weird because they have their row collection, whatever they're called. But that's not a data table. That's actually our iTransformation context. More weird. Anyway, I was going to say that you have to strongly type each element when you're iterating through like the row collection in a data table, which is just very odd. Not implemented exceptions. Why? Why do you have not implemented exceptions? Gosh. Do I have places where it's not implemented? Is that where you're getting this from? Oh, data tables, data sets. Glad those days are over. Not for me, not anymore, not with this data import utility. And who knows, maybe we'll actually get some contributions from the community that I'll have to stick with it for the next 10 years. Added for IEnumerable. Hey, thanks. It's kind of weird though, isn't system.collections in implicit usings? Are we even using implicit usings? We are. Apparently it's not. SQL plus Poco plus Dapper equals happy. I was about to call you Angie. You are not Angie. Happy Aggie. That needs to be declared. There goes the null forgiveness operator thing again. It's like, are we even using the right logic anymore? I really am, like, what I'm gonna do. Oh man, I have no idea what I'm gonna do about this. What I was thinking of doing is after I finish with getting all of these cleaned up, setting up the instructions for Copilot agents in Visual Studio Code, since it doesn't seem like that's a thing, or at least maybe take a quick glance to see if there is a way to set up instructions in Visual Studio proper. But I'll do it in Visual Studio Code. I'll generate an editor config as well. Then my next hope was to... Oh, yeah, I'm working on the component library. So because of the changes that were made, there are a lot of broken things in the component library. For example, we are no longer using the enum types for determining what all of these, just determining these. So I need to come up with a way that uses whatever approach this thing was deciding is a thing, which I think is called the iType registry service, to be able to have the same functionality, because I don't want the UI's functionality to change. global suppressions, don't use primary constructors. Why I oughta. You should. What even? What even? So first of all, you're strongly typing this declaration as a bool, and you're initializing it to its default value. Why? What? Oh, except that these up here aren't going to work, which makes sense, but still. The decisions it made. And I don't get why it isn't consistent either. Ooh, this is going to be fun. So one of the suggestions that it did give me was to use a discoverability mechanism, essentially. So for everything that has or that implements the mapping rule base, we would register that type. Then I was like, you know, I have seen libraries suffer for doing this kind of discoverability thing where the load times are just trashed when you do that. One library that comes to mind is AutoMapper, but I think now AutoMapper uses source generators. It's been a while since I've used it, so I don't know for sure. But the thing that I would prefer this to do, because I think that even this is wrong, core.rule.combinedfields rule, where the name is actually core.combinedfields rule. So what this really should be anyway, for every single one of these, is probably something more like type ID string. Something more like this. But even then, like, no, that wouldn't work. I was going to say the register type could get that implicitly, but it can't. Unless we instantiated a new one and then got the type ID back, but no. So yeah, in all of the places where it's manually putting in all of these magic strings, I just don't like that. Why would it do that? And that's like a major change. But again, it does get away from using the enums, which I can't add to from an external library, at least not that I know of, unless some of you have like insider knowledge. Who would do that? Nobody does that. I have no idea what it's from, but I quote that a lot. Is it a Jim Carrey thing? It kind of feels like it's a Jim Carrey thing. All right, I need to reopen some files. Richard Campbell says that a lot. I know who Richard Campbell is. Don't mind me while I open a browser off to the side and search for images of Richard Campbell. No clue. No clue. We'll just pretend like I knew that. Knew what? No idea. Okay, we should still be able to build abstractions. Oh, right. I want to open these other files so that they are open. Application. Oh my gosh. Application constants. was one of the files that I wanted open. Another one is imported data file because I'm still making changes to that. Another one is import table definitions. I type registry service, and that's everything from this library that I wanted to keep track of. Then in that library, there is type registry service. All right, good. So our next thing is to build abstractions and make sure that it still builds, and it doesn't. It should not have broken. Why? Because there is no field property and value transformation base. What am I supposed to use? Where is the mapping between the input field that we are trying to map and the output field that we're trying to map to? I like this approach better, whatever it is, but that kind of breaks things a lot. All right, we're done with that. So I think I can get rid of that screen finally. Oh, that's better. The .NET Rocks host. Okay, I know him. I didn't see his picture show up. Wait. That's why. Okay. That's so weird. Did you know that he's a... What? TWIT network. Why would she be called Twit? But yeah, I guess I only knew Carl Franklin from .NET Rock. But yeah. Or Carl Franklin was just a guest one day in .NET Rocks. I don't know. I don't know these things. You know what? I'm just gonna... He works on at This Week in Tech. Well, people talking about tech trends. DC Aggie says, devs are digital warlocks. We create wizards, we cast, we talk to ducks. Yeah, we do. We master esoteric languages that allow us to alter the world we live in. Absolutely. Some of us use our skills for good and others for evil, but even the good ones tend to join warring factions. I want to join the peacemaking factions. Where do I sign up for that? Where do I sign up for the cooperative community? Making people feel welcome and heard and seen. Making the world a better place together, even with differing opinions. Also, we'd wear ropes 24/7 if we could. I'm not a rope bunny though. I'm a rigger. I'd wear socks and pajama pants all day. You find that faction and I'll join. All right, well, I started it. It's here. It's now. Dang it. Why? Why would you? iClonable. As inherited member iClonable.clone. I don't know how to do that. That's fine. I think of myself more as a mad scientist, so sign me up for an oversized lab coat. Absolutely. You can has. How can I address this now so that we can just build? We're doing replace field mappings. Can I just get rid of the filter on field not being null? Oh, no, I can't because this is using field names. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. So since we aren't using field at present, at the moment, we can just get rid of that. And this is to do determine if we are going to use fields in mapping rules in value transformations. And I don't think we are. Okay. Do you build? Oh, I built the whole thing. We're gonna have more errors than I'm looking for. I just want to see the ones for abstractions and the ones for core, please. But abstractions should build. Abstractions does build. And core is going to be a hit or miss. Please just build. It builds. Okay, great. Fantastic and also wonderful. Did I mention great? So what this means is that we have a refactored library. Who knows if it works for... Actually, does tests run? I mean, build? Nope. Because there is no add transformation. Wait, what? This is something else. Assert equals verifies that two sequences are equal. This call is ambiguous between the following methods. Assert equal of t versus assert equal of span of t. Oh, so assert equal for a tuple versus assert equal for a tuple of span of t. Okay, can I fix this by just telling it to do toArray? Just for now, just to get the tests passing. And you, array. This probably wasn't an issue before because I most likely did have a .toArray on there. Or no toArray at all. Yeah, that works better. Okay. Anything else like this? Let's go ahead and make you take up the full screen, please. Pretty please. Porfa. Oh, well, those seem to be the only errors in test, I hope. Let's rebuild and see if we can run the test. Be back later. I'm going to be gone later in like 15 minutes. Actually, probably less time than 15 minutes. But thank you for hanging out with us. Not really going to apologize for getting in a sour mood. I feel like I should, but at the same time, I just don't want to anymore. What's your deal? Yep. Prefer the generic overload. Set target type. I mean, that's what I used to have, but then it didn't re-implement my generic type. And is that the same thing for you down here? Nope. Don't use .any when you can use .count. Oh my goodness. Why aren't you doing it for me? Fine, I'll do it. Oops, greater than 0. Wait, you are .any, right? Okay, it's .any. Fine. All right, so we should be able to run our tests, which used to all pass before all of these changes. So let's see if they all still do pass. It's not going to pass because the components library doesn't build. Or was it that the core library doesn't build? Was I not paying attention? Yeah, so the components library doesn't build. But why does that matter? The test library should not be referencing the component library. It's only referencing .core. That doesn't make sense. You should be able to run the tests because they aren't trying to run on .components. And it's running the test. So why didn't you before? If I run the test one at a time, I mean one group of tests at a time, it works fine. Okay, well, how many are you saying failed anyway? 29. What about on .NET 9? 29, good. So they should be the same tests that are failing, and they are most likely because of a change in behavior, functionality. So that's going to need to get fixed. Yeah, I was hoping to be able to just be like, all right, I cleaned it all up. Let's just run the Visual Studio Code in agent mode and see if it will fix all of my components so that they use the new logic and stuff. But I don't think that's going to happen because there's still a lot of other cleanup that I need to do before we can progress forward, such as in getting the core functionality to work again, and that will be by fixing all of these failed tests. And of course, verifying that the passing tests are passing correctly, that they're passing for real. I have no idea if the test library got updated. Yeah, I don't know if it got rewritten. No clue. Okay, but I think that's going to be it for me for today. I'm going to do my time card, which will probably take me the next 10 minutes. Yeah, but that's today's stream. Craziness. Time just flies. Time just goes. Let's go to the magic screen. Hello, magic screen. Who else? Who else? Who else? Okay, so it looks like yeah, thank you for being here, Dukasoft. Why did that happen suddenly? Can I open you like this instead then? Yes, yes I can. Great. Okay. So let's head out. I think he's talking about ending his stream, but that's okay. He'll take you somewhere fun, somewhere amazing. That's it for me for today. I'll see you again tomorrow if you come by, and hopefully be in a little bit less of an anxiety-riddled state and maybe a little more open to the attempted distractions and stuff. All right. So ciao for now. Enjoy. Also bye.